Rivers do not drink their own water. Trees do not eat their own fruit. The sun does not shine on itself, and flowers do not spread their fragrance for themselves. Living for others is a rule of nature. We are all born to help each other. No matter how difficult it is, life is good when you are happy, but much better when others are happy because of you.
A few months ago, I wrote an article saying there was a danger of planes hovering and Americans and Italians and other people hovering to dump the problem of Afghanistan on Africa. It did not take long before the war in other parts of Africa became worse. Ethiopia was on fire. It started. It increased. Then we had Mozambique was on fire with rebels of Al-Shabaab and other ISIS elements disrupting the region of Southern Africa. But then what has shocked the world and most of SADC nations of South African Development Organization, SADC Corporation, is the setting up of AFCOM offices. Previously, AFCOM was in Djibouti. It closed their offices and they were looking for somewhere else to go. They came and approached Kenya and they said they want, Kenyans said, I think we have a lot of our own bases with you. It is not possible. The commander of AFCOM, while leaving and giving his final speech in Africa, all of you know what he was talking about. That we have not left, but we are only changing the tactics of fighting, helping Africa to fight bad governance, terrorism, removing insecurity in most of the areas. He visited all the areas in West Africa. What then has come out? They found a place in Zambia. The president of Zambia, therefore HH, agreed without consent of other SADC members to set up AFCOM Center in Lusaka. What has it got? What are the benefits of AFCOM Center in Lusaka? What is it aiming at? What does it want to achieve? Why set it in Lusaka and not in South Africa? Why set it in Lusaka and not in Mozambique where there is a war? The proximity of Zambia to Congo gives one other area why AFCOM wants to set itself in Lusaka. The proximity of Zimbabwe from Lusaka gives it another angle why AFCOM wants to set itself in Lusaka. Therefore, combination of these factors, plus factors of monetary value, of which China and Zambia are writing off a debt guaranteed by France, complicates the matter, of which neighbors of Zambia are crying and are saying there is an element of regime change being perpetrated from Zambia against the states of Zimbabwe and other South African states that might not be in good books with America. Therefore, it is very, very imperative that we understand the difficulties that Zambia finds itself, given that Zambia has given an okay to host AFCOM. There are lots of diplomatic maneuvers that are taking place behind the scenes to explain why AFCOM was allowed to set base in Zambia, in Lusaka. The late President Kaunda brought about the changes of Southern Africa through the support that he gave to liberation movements, all of them that sprang, and it was called a frontline state. The late Nyerere, the late Obote, the late Jomo Kenyatta, all of them worked towards a stable Africa, an Africa without undue influence, without any oppressive methods of how to support either America or Russia. An Africa where we... Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television again, broadcast from the Political Command Center satellite system in London. Thank you very much, Dr. David Matsanga, bringing you this show, this 7th day of March, the year of our Lord 2023. Africa Security Watch. The Africa Security Program is to safeguard the entire African region, to safeguard the integrity of our nations. What is going on the security platform, what takes place is what worries us as Africans. Today, I'm to discuss this topic briefly, which can go on as a topic as we sit down here, ladies and gentlemen, as we watch from our offices. The situation, sorry about that, the situation has been very, very gloomy in the French-speaking. The topic today is very clear: diplomatic and security disaster for France in Africa. What went wrong? What has gone wrong? As you know very well, President Macron was in Africa last week, trying to drum up support, the failing support of the French money on the African continent. As you are aware, most of us, especially myself, I have been at the forefront, not agreeing with the French policies on Africa, because they have only created disaster, wars, conflicts, terrorism, and other things, and the economic meltdown that we see in most of Africa. I therefore want to bring this to your attention, that I am vindicated. I've been vindicated, and I've said it to the French people, not because I hate anybody in France, but because I hate the foreign policy that the French used during colonialism, after colonialism, during colonialism. I stand against such habits. But for leaders to come out and at this hour, I feel vindicated, and I feel happy, and I feel healed as an African. Therefore, I want to say I am healed in the sense that today, as we speak, nothing can change what is there. The only thing is for Africa to pick it from where the French disrupted them and made them not develop and develop their countries. President Emmanuel Macron said he wants new ties of fairness. He wants to reset the French policy on Africa. Will this be the truth, or any government that comes in will change the same systems? Is French influence diminishing? Yes, it is diminishing day by day. While now leave their territories, they would like to bring chaos in other territories. Let's watch this clip of President of Congo, Democratic Republic of Tshisekedi, at a press conference with Macron. Those who understand French will know that this was a real disaster. Thank you much. Take a look.
Ça n'est pas le gouvernement de la France. Et c'est bien comme ça. Mais il ne faut pas tout confondre.
Non,
parce que, non, mais c'est pas une position de la France.
Je faisais allusion.
Parce qu'il n'y a pas de.
Je faisais allusion au propos de Le Drian. Lui, il est officiel français.
Oui, mais
le compromis à l'africaine, c'est Le Drian, c'est pas la journaliste.
C'est exact, mais ce compromis. Mais cette formule, Président, on sait d'où elle est sortie et on sait le contexte électoral. Non, mais on sait le contexte. Et il n'y avait pas de caractère de mépris dans la formule de Jean-Yves Le Drian.
Ladies and gentlemen, on that clip, you can see that Tshisekedi might be lucky to finish his and be re-elected, because the French are very bad people. Work day and night because he has embarrassed their president. Make sure Tshisekedi has done exactly what Patrice Lumumba was telling them, and saying, you mix yourself, you come here with doubles. I think media in the studios knows, or wherever in Kenya will interpret that French. I don't know what it means, but from the interpretation that I've received, this is on a platform, and the two presidents sorry about that. The network went down. Two presidents were able to disagree openly at home. Ladies and gentlemen, why has Africa stuck on the old behaviors? Why do we take off? I want to thank the countries of Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea Conakry, and others that are struggling to liberate themselves from the French mentality and the French hegemony. You have done very well, brothers. Continue liberating yourselves, brothers. Continue struggling, get out of this cocoon of the French hegemony that only buys and sends them to the front line while their soldiers remain looting our debts. Why the IMF always goes for the people that have nothing? Why the IMF goes for people who are told you pay? If you pay, you want to finish your payment. They said Zimbabwe, for example, wanted to pay and finish. They said don't pay and we still need you, but that is it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have the clip coming. Thank you. Let the clip, if it is ready, let it come.
IMF, World Bank, all other institutions, they make African countries jump through hoops. Loans will never be able to pay. The US, when they borrow money, they're getting it in 1.5, 1.9 interest rate. Africans, when they get the same amount of money, they're paying 9, 10%. The people who don't need a break, they get a break. The ones who need a break, they don't get a break. The sheer survival of the World Bank, IMF, is based on the fact that African countries and many other developing countries do not succeed. Their success is based on our failure. That has to change. And guess who can make that change? We, the children of Africa, we, the Africans, are the ones who have to say, we know your game now. Enough is enough. We're not playing it anymore. And this is where the diaspora come in. There are more Ghanaian doctors in New York City than in the entire country of Ghana. There are more Nigerian doctors in LA than in the entire country of Nigeria. So let's be serious here. What Africa needs is capacity, capacity, capacity. And that capacity is in the diaspora. So it behooves us to bring the diaspora together. Let them understand what is really going on in our Africa. Diaspora are not going home. Diaspora are angry about Africa because they are not understanding the root cause of why Africa is where it is today. They think getting rid of a president will take care of the problem. Far from it. That president is just going to be replaced by another one who is going to equally suffer from the same difficult environment to work in. So let's look at an Africa that must be free to take care of herself, an Africa that's free from exploitation from outsiders. The multinationals who are stealing from Africa every day in broad daylight. I use an example of the DRC. If you ever fly very low over the DRC, you'll see tarmacs in the jungle. You'll see 747s flying into DRC, picking up minerals and flying right out. The same multinationals are responsible for arming young people and giving them MK-16s. Because why? Their satellites in the skies are telling them where that village is. There are lots of diamonds. So what do? Arm young people, drag them up, and send them to go chop off a few heads. The rest of the village runs away, so they come behind and do their illegal mining. We black people must understand what is really going on. Because what we are shown instead is, oh, look at those Africans killing each other. There are some serious games that have been played in Africa for far too long. And once we understand that, we can strategize as to how we can begin to bring the difference and bring the change that Africa needs. And that change can only come if the African diaspora are united. And the Wakanda villages, as I call them, it is our organized way of saying, starting with one African diaspora center of excellence, it will be a new city, a developmental hub that we can then take from there. Every sector is developed. Take healthcare. How many doctors do we need in this region to take care of this many people? We pick up education, same thing. We pick up engineering. We pick up electricity. How many megawatts of power do we have in the region? How many do we need? Be it solar, be it wind, be it hydro, be it geothermal, be it nuclear.
Viewers across the continents of the world, and especially viewers in Africa. You can see from the explanation of my colleague, my fellow Pan-African lady from Zimbabwe, who was the AU representative in America, in New York. She has explained very, very well what happens about the entire French on Africa. We've lost quite a lot. France had 3,000, currently has 3,000 troops from 5,000 that they have. France has had problems in Ivory Coast. You saw Babgo being taken to court on trumped-up charges, and they left Ouattara. The charges were dropped. Later, all of the people, they killed that country. The country went to war. They studied one side that they believe would work for them to siphon the funds out of Ivory Coast. You have seen what has happened in DRC Congo. They have taken several people out of DRC Congo to go to the International Criminal Court so that they maintain their grip on the minerals by saying we are helping you, and the president would be safe to give them concessions. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the whole scenario of Lynch brings us memories of Patrice Lumumba, who was brutally in 1961. He was killed, taken away. His family did not see him until 2021, when they brought the remains of one thief and something, the ashes back to him, to the families. This type of treatment cannot go unchallenged. We have what has happened in Libya when President Nicolas Sarkozy decided to send bombers under pretext of NATO Resolution 1970 of the United Nations to bombard Libya. You have seen what has happened in Libya. As we speak today, Libya is no more. It's just a shell of very dying people. It's the shell of meltdown. It's a shell of terrorism that has come to this once prosperous country, and it has become now a shell of laughter. Can we go ahead and explain more? Look at Central African Republic. Central African Republic is a shell of a country. 2 Airbuses go airport every morning to go to Central Africa. They are not tourists. They are taking essential goods. They are taking tourists. They are people to go mine more diamonds. And these 2 Airbuses go back to every day. They go airport. And then what do they carry? They are carrying our diamond, carrying our gold, uranium, platinum, whatever, timber, ivory. All these things are being carried, ferried back to France. They have this country under war up to today. And if you look at Central Republic, who is arming Bozize? Who is arming another faction? How many factions are in Central African Republic? Ladies and gentlemen, when you get sleep, cry for me. Cry for our African countries. Cry for the continent of Africa. That I always stand high and make sure that Africa is a united state of Africa. I want to see it united, that there are no obstacles that stop